So for you guys that didn't see part 1 for this video, I suggest you go back and watch part 1 before going into part 2. Because I'll tell you right now, it does get fixed in part 2, but I'm letting the cat out of the bag. But if you want to see what I had to do to get to the point where I found a part broken, you'll have to see part 1, because I'm not going to recap all the work. There was a lot of work done in part 1. This is the conclusion to the TCD 7. All right. Careful examination. Do you see the problem, Houston? I see the problem. There's teeth missing off of this gear. Right there. So what happens is this gear, I'm wondering why I was seeing this thing spin, but this one, the cam gear wasn't moving. This gear's got a tooth missing off of it. So this is a scrap chassis that I've got, and it looks like the gears might be okay. So I'm going to change both the broken gear on the other one, and also change the cam gear here just for good measure, because it doesn't look like it's damaged, you know, but while I'm in here I might as well do it if I'm going to be pulling these parts off this one to try to salvage another one. So first I got to pull the cut washers off to take out both the main drive and a midway gear. You guys get a much better view here on camera than I do. These parts are very small. I can't even remove the midway gear. I'm going to have to probably pull this chassis apart. Maybe I can get it out of here. Oh, there we go. Okay, I was able to get that one out. One thing I did discover on this unit is that there's actually 2 mode switches on here. There's one under the cam gear, which I'm going to change, and there's the other one that's under the loading gear, which tells the system whether the tape is threaded or unthreaded. And not have these cut washers go flying. Because you'll lose them pretty easy. Like that one. Where'd it go? Well, there's the gear, there's the cut washer. I'm going to keep the cut washer just in case I lose it from the other one. This is the gear that's broken on the other machine is this one here, so we'll remove this one. And lift off the good gear. I wouldn't be surprised if there's electrical contacts under here as well. I've never taken one of these off before, but there's a good chance that there's electrical contacts, and this is actually forming part of a mode switch. Am I right? Is it a mode switch? Yes, it is. It is a mode switch. So there's 2 mode switches on here. There's one over here, and there's another one over here. Perfect place for failure. Wonderful design this thing is. I'm being very sarcastic when I say that. I don't think it's a wonderful design. I think it's a terrible design, but trying to get enough light in here so I can see what I'm doing without the light being in the camera, in the way of the camera. Oh, that was a nice notification from my garage door controller telling me my garage door is closed. It's only been closed for, I don't know, 20 minutes, something like that. barely see this thing. That's the problem. I can't see where the crack is in here to open this up. I know it's a cut washer. Where is it open? There it is. Got it. The gear looks okay. Here's the broken one. I'm letting you guys feel my pain as well, because these machines are very tedious and tough to work on. Okay, that one's back on. I think I will take this cam gear off and change it. I don't think it's broken, but I think I'll change it anyway just because I don't know what shape it's in. It looks like it might be a little bit damaged, so maybe we'll just change it while we're here. Give it a little closer inspection and see if it is damaged or not. If we look right in here, if I can get a close-up shot. It's a light in there. Looks like there might be. Looks like maybe in here there might be some damage. This one looks a little different. I'll put the other one on. I'm into it this far, so I might as well put one on that I think looks to be in better shape. When you're aligning the mechanism, you got a top and a bottom cam gear. In the stop position, the unloaded position, this is about where it's going to be. So we're going to turn around this little pointed hole. There's a little arrow here. It's going to point right over towards the edge there. There's a little mark on the side here that it points towards. A little hole right down there in the chassis, if you can see it. This is the timing point. There is a little hole that's right down here on the chassis. It's right there. And that points at it. You can see it barely on the shot. This little hole here with the arrow points right there. Right down into that area there. That's got that part correct. Now we take the main chassis. We set it up like that. Everything's centered. So you've got this piece is centered. This piece is centered. Like that. And then we drop this back on. Pulling our spring in place. And then the 3 screws. Let's load a tape and see what it does. Okay, battery's in. Is it going to work or is it going to break? It says no tape. Yeah, these are not the cut washers from this. I use the other ones. So far, so good. And it's still not loading. What the? You gotta be kidding. The capstan motor spins, but it's not loading the tape. That's the frustrating part about these machines. Even when you think you got everything right, something's not right. Let's try this again. Ooh, that sounded good. That sounded real good. But it's not. Okay. It sounds like it's doing something, but it sounds like it's loading and unloading, but it's not. Like I can hear it loading and unloading, but it doesn't. It's not playing. So something's working. Yeah, you can see the mechanism load. And then it unloads again. Very, very bizarre. Something's not quite right. What I've been able to observe by tricking the machine into thinking that there's a tape in it is that the take-up hub is not turning. So when you first load a tape, if I hold down the little button in here, if I try to press play, for example, it'll thread the tape and it'll try to go into rewind, but this hub is locked. It's not turning, so something's jamming this hub. That would explain why. So I guess I have to take it apart again and see why this hub is jammed. I know people get scared when they see these mechanisms coming apart. It's not that bad as long as you have your alignment holes lined up. Maybe this lever. And that's where the problem is the locking lever wasn't positioned correctly. When this fits in, it actually fits into a little hole on the top side of the chassis that pulls it, unlocks it when the tape goes to play. And it wasn't locked in properly when it dropped in. It's supposed to drop in on its own, but for whatever reason, it was stuck. It's obviously timing. It's a timing issue. This little lever is operated from the other side. Okay, now it moves. Okay, excellent. So let's just try it again. Stop. That's a good sign. Let's plug it into the amplifier and see if there's any sound. You can't see me now, but I'm doing the happy dance. Woohoo! Well, I think that means that this can go back together. I can put the screws in, I can reconnect the capacitor for the backup, and we can try another tape in here. So let me just remove the batteries. Scalp is happy. This is going all the way back to Israel. And our thoughts go out to the people of Israel that are under attack right now as of the time that I am making this recording with Hamas that's attacked them. I really, it's not a happy place right now with the ongoing assaults coming in from the West Bank and across the border. So this machine has a bit of a history. I know I did cover it on the first one, but I cut it because it was just so long. But maybe I'll dig up the shots. But it came with a letter from and some email correspondence that I had with the fellow that owns this one, and he's a viewer of my channel. And basically, he had one, and he sent it to a place over in the UK that sent it back, or he sent it. Did he send it to a place in the UK? I think he bought this one from a place in the UK. Anyway, he sent it out anyway to be repaired, and the guy botched it. So he sent it out to somebody else to try to repair it, and the guy just said no. He says, I can't do anything with it. It's just too far damaged. So he sold him another machine that he had, an old one, I guess a used one that he had kicking around, and he hadn't used it for a while, and he went to haul it out and use it, and it didn't work. And so that's this one here that I've just got functional. So I think it's essentially like a new machine that's got like no hours on it. It's just been sitting around for a number of years unused, and we're getting it back in working condition, which is always nice when we can save one of these old digital audio tape decks. And I know people like to slam them, saying, they're garbage format. Actually, they were a very good format. They were a broadcast quality, recording studio quality format. A lot of bands recorded using DAT, and if you bought a CD anywhere in the mid-1980s right through to, I think, 2006, 2007 is when they started to migrate away from tape. But if you bought a CD, it was mastered on one of these tapes. This one even says original master. This came from a recording studio. I've got a bunch of old tapes from a recording studio. And what they did is most of them had, as they made the migration from analog multitrack to digital multitrack, hard drive recordings hadn't quite matured yet at the point they are now. That's what everything's done. Everything's done on hard drives and memory cards now. But back in the day, you had a recording studio, you had a series of, say, Tascam D88s or Sony Dash 24 track, etc. You could do your session tape on a digital tape, or some recording studios went with DAT as their format. And they all used this as the mastering format pretty much at the end there, or once it got established. But a lot of them would use DA88s, which used a high 8 cassette and a high 8 video cassette, and it recorded 8 tracks. And you could stack 8 of them together that were synchronized. So you put the tapes in and you formatted all the tapes. And the tapes were formatted in a special way that the drive knew which tape was in which machine. So when you went in to record your session, the engineer would load a bunch of blank tapes that he'd pre-formatted. And you could go in there and lay down your tracks one at a time. Lay down your drums, lay down your bass, your guitar, your keyboards, your vocals, whatever. Each DA88 8mm cassette was an 8-track. If you had 2 of them, you had 16 tracks. If you had 4 of them, you had 32-track recording. And once your session tapes were all done, and it was time to mix, you play the session tapes back in sync, they run it into the mix console, they mix it out, and it went onto one of these. Usually multiple ones. You have a safety copy in your master. And then once your mix was done, this is the tape that went to the CD pressing plant. Or if you're cutting vinyl, this is the tape that went to have the vinyl cut, or cassettes or whatever. They would recompress it and set it up for vinyl. But that was what DAT was used for. And a lot of these portable recorders were used in the field by musicians and bands and producers to record live events. And a lot of stuff was done on these machines. So people like to knock them saying they were junk, but they actually weren't. They were very good. They also found a lot of use in the film industry. Maybe not ones quite this small. There were smaller portable decks that were around, like the Tascam DAP1, for example. But they were used extensively for field recording in the film industry as the move was made to migrate away from the reel-to-reel stuff, the Niagara recorders, because the sound quality off of digital tape was superior. It's at 48 kilohertz. It's even better than CD quality. But they'll record 48 kilohertz sampling 44.1 or long play 32. 32 is more for radio stations because it only has a frequency response to 15 kilohertz, which is exactly what an FM transmitter is limited to. So radio stations could can a 4-hour tape. You know, the overnight guy, for example, could come in the afternoon and record his 4-hour show onto one tape, and then it would just get loaded and put on the air, and nobody was even there. It would be canned with all the commercials and everything, just like he was on the air. Now, of course, with station automation, that's kind of redundant, but before station automation was a big thing. They either did it using reel-to-reel tape or controlled DAT tapes, or they could put an entire session, or they could have 4 hours of music on 2 DAT machines, two tapes, right, with music recorded on them, and then have a computer that was controlling them, and another one for commercials. for fully automated stations before everything went to hard drive based. So DAT did get a lot of use professionally. It wasn't used so much in the consumer market, but professionally it was very extensively used. So let's start getting some screws into this thing and get it back together. We're putting the back cover on, of course. Make sure that all the switches are controlling their appropriate switch. Right, make sure that the switches here, the little switches that line up with the switches, are controlling the switch correctly. Make sure that you know what position these switches are in. In this case, I've got it in the line out mode, and I've got this one set to SP, so we're going to make sure this switch is in SP, and we're going to make sure that one's all the way up to the line out mode, so that when I drop the back on and put on the back battery cover here, everything will line up. The switches will do what they're supposed to. Now I can put the final screws in and give this unit a final test before getting it ready to ship back. I will make a recording on it too before sending it out. Just want to make sure that I get it all together first. Plug this in now. We'll just do another quick test. This is a test. This is a tape that I can record on. So we'll just plug that in, hit play, and then I'll just do a quick recording on here. I think there's only like 15 seconds or so of tape left on here, so we'll make it a quick recording. I gotta find another cable to plug this in with to my player. Is it record and play? I guess it's record and play. Go. There's a light on here too. Yeah, it lights up green. That doesn't work on mine. The light is dead on mine. I think it's to say there's only 30 seconds or so of tape, but that's good enough. We just want to make sure it records. LP speed, might as well check that while I'm at it. So that changes, that doubles the recording time. Oh well, I guess there was more than a minute left on the tape. I thought there was only like a minute or 30 seconds or so of tape. This opens up another chapter here, because the machine that this, wherever it is with the scrap chassis came from, I was sent a couple machines a while back, and I gave up on it because it had been messed with. And one was totally disassembled. It was kind of like for parts, and the other two were just in various states of disrepair because somebody had tried to fix them, and I just spent a bunch of time on it, and I just gave up on it. And I might actually sit down and tackle to try to get one of those machines running again, now that I've had a little bit of success with this piece of crap. Okay, well, I think we got plenty recorded on here. Let's just rewind this back. And it should switch to the LP speed momentarily. So the sound will cut for a second. That switches and you'll see it light up here. This is only 24 seconds remaining. Okay, there we go. There we go to the LP speed. You can see the absolute time is half now. Now the frequency response on this is limited to 15 kilohertz, but that's still not bad for 4 hours on a tape. good enough. I'll remove my batteries. Somehow they will remove here. And pack this back in the box to ship it back. I didn't show the unboxing of this because the other video would say it would have been way too long. I just kind of cut it down on part one, but when it arrived, it came wrapped up in a box. I thought I was getting a monitor. I thought I was getting a multi-function video recorder all crossed out, but he put it in this box here to protect it, and I guess it did a pretty good job because it didn't get banged up on its way. I can't stress shipping. And actually, it was shipped to someone here in Canada who shipped it to me. I'll be shipping it back to them, and then I think it was brought over. Someone was over there, and someone was over and brought it back. So we'll put it back in the box and get that one ready to ship back. They actually sent it to me in one of these flat rate boxes. That's how it came. It says if it fits, it ships. So we have these boxes here where you can stick anything in. As long as it fits in the box, it'll go anywhere in Canada. So I'll be shipping this back where it came from, back to Windsor. And then from there, I guess it goes back to Israel. This is the letter he sent me. He says, I won't be using it for recording, only playback of many recorded tapes. So if there's a problem with the recording department, don't worry about it. But we know it records. So that's a double bonus. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.